Welcome to Books on Point. When Rassie Erasmus took over as coach of the Springboks in 2018, few thought he had a chance of winning the Rugby World Cup. The Boks had slipped to 7th in the world rankings and lost the faith of the rugby-loving public. Less than 2 years later, jubilant crowds lined the streets of South Africa's cities to welcome back the victorious team. In the book Miracle Men, sportswriter Lloyd Burnard takes the reader on the journey of a team that went from no hope to world champions. He examines how exactly this turnaround was achieved, and he joins us live for more. Lloyd, thank you so much for your time.
Afternoon, Nastasia. Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about what inspired you to write a book like this.
Well, I mean, the story in itself is an incredible one. You know, it feels like there's so much has happened in South Africa and the world in the last few months that it does seem like a long time ago now. And it's easy to forget just how monumental that moment was for South Africa and South African sport. You know, I was fortunate enough to be on the trophy tour with the Springboks when they came home from Japan victorious, and I followed them on their bus across 5 cities all throughout the country. And it was somewhere on the Eastern Cape leg of that tour where you know, when you looked in the faces of the people and just saw these incredible masses of people coming out to support South Africa, to support the Boks everywhere they went, and it was just so clear. You know, how significant a moment this was in South African sport. And it just felt like it was a story to be told, you know, just to kind of relive the magic of what happened over that period and to go a bit deeper. And as you say, you know, when Rassie came in, you know, the Boks had reached pretty much rock bottom, and with 18 months to go to the start of the tournament, really didn't have a hope. And the kind of mastermind, the incredible detail, the level of execution, the level of planning to turn that ship around in 18 months and leave Japan as world champion. It's just a remarkable story and one I thought worth telling.
Right. Speaking of that rock bottom, for the sake of the viewers who may not necessarily have been rugby fanatics, but, you know, joined in to celebrate the win as much as every other South African did, perhaps you can give us some color as to what exactly was happening with the state of, you know, rugby at the time and the Springboks during that rock bottom stage.
Sure. You look, it's professional sports and Springbok rugby and international rugby is very results-driven. Results measure success for the most part. And, you know, rugby also works in historically 4-year cycles in South African history. And unfortunately, over 2016 and 2017, it just didn't work out under Alistair Coetzee. You know, there were some dire results under his leadership, and it forced a change mid-cycle. So you had a situation where you know, the planning, the 4-year planning that historically happens building up to a World Cup, and that 4-year cycle was interrupted, and a new leadership came in, as I say, with 18 months to go until the start of the Rugby World Cup. So when the cycle is disrupted in that way, and the planning is disrupted in that way, and the Boks had slipped to number 7 in the world, and the kind of results and performances they were putting up, I mean, taking 50 odd points in New Zealand, you know, it's the type of results you just don't expect from a Springbok team. And based on those results, losing to Italy away, you know, getting thrashed by Ireland away, results like that just painted a picture of a team that was in no state to challenge for a Rugby World Cup.
Right, so let's talk about Rassie's coaching style. I mean, what can you share with us about it?
Well, you know, a common theme throughout is the level of planning, the level of detail in absolutely everything he did, and the players will tell you of very much an open cards, transparent leadership style that brought everybody onto the same page from the very beginning. You know, the players were never unsure of what their roles were in the setup. It extended to training sessions, to team meetings, to selections, where he would, in some instances, select teams weeks in advance, and the players would sit together and look at a kind of board, and Rassie would name the starting 15 for a team that was only playing in a few weeks. And going into that World Cup, everyone knew what their role was. The guys who were going to be part of what would become known as the bomb squad, the bench players knew that their role in the team was to play on the bench. There was very much a style of inclusive leadership and togetherness that brought everybody onto the same page. And the level of the detail and the planning extended to absolutely every aspect you can think of. The recon mission that Rassie and Aled Walters, the conditioning specialist, did in Japan. 9 months before the tournament, when they flew over there and met with the chefs at the hotels, the caterers at the hotels. They examined the sleeping conditions in the hotels, the public transport systems to get from venue to venue in Japan. They lived this and they did this in Japan together, planning for what it would be like when the Springboks were actually in Japan. So I think just that extreme level of detail is certainly a common theme that runs throughout.
Lloyd, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. That's Lloyd Burnard talking about his new book titled Miracle Man, How Rassie's Springboks won the World Cup. That's it from me. I'll be back next week Thursday with The Alternative Investor. We have more news at the top of the hour with Nompumelelo Siziba. Goodbye.